If you were to ask me what the most iconic video game character in history is, I would reply with the legendary Beacon of Hope, Demon, Spartan 2, leader of Blue Team, Sierra 117, John Halo, the Master Chief. Master Chief's story has been told for over 24 years now, battling the religious fanatics, the Covenant, to the barbaric, bloodthirsty subfaction, the Banished, to the all-powerful, all-consuming ancient enemy of humanity, the Flood. As the Master Chief, we saw through his eyes the destruction caused by such enemies and the heroic, selfless sacrifice he made 4 times, at least in the games. I didn't read the books. John has been face to face with the most powerful beings in the known universe and lived to tell the tale. He is highly respected by his allies and feared by his enemies, especially Ungoys. He is humanity's greatest weapon, and his luck is unmatched. But one day, his story will come to an end. One day, he will finish his last fight, and someone else will take his place. How, you may ask? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to discuss today. When Chief finally wins or loses his last battle, how will it play out? Where will he be? Who will be beside him? And who will take up the mantle of the savior of humanity? I wrote 2 scenarios of what I believe to be the best ending stories for the Master Chief. I'm not the best storyteller, so I apologize for being an amateur on this, and my storytelling voice will likely be inconsistent. Both of these stories came from me and only me, not some stupid AI, although it would be fitting considering the topic. I've been playing Halo since I was a boy. I know Chief in and out. I know his story. I know his character, his legacy. So I believe that I am more than qualified to tell this epilogue, and I hope you think so too. First, let's discuss the most popular discussion by fans: retirement. On the day that humanity finally vanquishes the rival faction of the Banished, small remnants of the Covenant, and so far the Flood haven't shown their presence, so no need to worry about that. What will he do next? Chief will just be a walking tank, collecting dust in the hulking Mjolnir suit. Halo 4's ending touched on this, but it was basically retconned in Halo 5. But this time, it's for real. The Banished are defeated. Atriox is no more, and there hasn't been any sign of enemy activity in 7 months. Chief stands at the bridge of a UNSC capital ship, orbiting Earth. Alone with his thoughts, he reminisces about the journey he has been through, going through the brutal Spartan program as a boy, surviving perilous encounters with the most dangerous enemies humanity has ever seen, allying with a once-thought rival alien race, and losing someone who he considered to be the one he loves. He finally realizes that the fighting is over. We won, and it's time to rest. It's finished, he says to himself. He turns and walks to the armory, not in preparation for a fight, but to lay down his weapons and armor at last. With every piece removed, a sense of relief floods his mind. No longer will this armor be seen as something that started a war, but one that ended it. As his helmet is removed, a single tear can be seen sliding down his cheek. How could this be? This is no man. This is a weapon of war, a machine. But no longer. This is John. He feels shorter. Still towering over his peers, but not in the same way anymore. He takes a pelican to Earth and is finally able to walk on the asphalt without worrying about jackal snipers around the corner. For the first time in his life, he hears birds in the wind, bustling crowds, honking car horns, laughter. He walks among the crowd, unbeknownst to the civilians that the man marching beside them is the beacon of hope in the flesh. John sits at a park bench, nearly breaking it in half. He looks to the playground. Children playing, screaming and laughing. A little girl nervously walks up to John. You're tall, says the girl. John just stares at the helpless girl, wondering what to say. He has never had this kind of interaction before with a civilian, let alone a child. He continues to stare, back straight and hands on his lap. Suddenly, he jolts up, breaking the bench with the sheer weight upon lifting his body. With unimaginable speed, he turns, just to see balloons falling to the ground, with blue glitter spilling from it, and a family cheering and celebrating. John is at ease. There was no danger. He looks back to the girl who was nearly breaking her neck to try to look up at him. Bye, mister. She skips her way to the playground. John then walks deeper into the city. Looking up, he sees digital billboards depicting victory, celebrating and mourning the UNSC's heroic status. Hundreds of civilians looking up at the representation of humanity's great beacon, the Master Chief. As John stares at the screen, an elderly man standing beside him speaks to him. My granddaughter was on Reach. John looks to the elder, not showing signs of emotion, but understanding. Because of people like him, she survived. Relief then hits John. He's a hero, you know. They all are. If I wasn't so sick, I would have wanted to join the fight. John takes several moments and finally speaks. You would have made a fine soldier. The elder then looks to John with a pale face, suddenly recognizing the mountainous man. I'll be damned. Wow, that was a lot longer and kind of more emotional than I thought. I wanted to make his story of retirement meaningful, with a satisfying conclusion of my favorite fictional character, one that only knew war, finally settling down and living a civilian life once more. I hope that story was satisfying to you as well. Now then, on to the next discussion at hand. Chief's death. It needs to be a worthy and badass death. 24 years of Master Chief is leading up to this moment in gaming history. Let's say that the war is still going on, and Chief is fighting his last battle. Who is he fighting? And where? Let's say Halo 7 is announced to be Chief's last story, his final mission. In an ultimate and arguably foolish form of revenge against humanity, Atriox has released a vial sample of the Flood from a Forerunner lab on Zeta Halo, spreading at a... well, you know how fast they spread. The Flood eventually forms a proto-Gravemind. The Banished and the UNSC and the Flood in the largest battle the universe has ever seen. With the remaining survivors of the UNSC on Zeta Halo, Chief mounts an assault on Atriox's capital ship. Taking him out first will make the Banished far easier to deal with. With a battalion of ODSTs, they board the ship. On board, the Flood have a small foothold inside as well. Both enough firepower, it can be eradicated. Chief orders the ODSTs to look for Atriox while he deals with the Flood. Chief has encountered these monsters one too many times, so without hesitation, he seals off the quadrant from the outside and jettisons it into space. Meanwhile, the ODSTs are in a bloody battle against Atriox's High Guard. Chief assists the battalion, eliminating the Banished blockade one by one. Blasting through the bridge door, the remaining ODSTs surround a lonely Atriox, ready to fire on command. Chief steps in, battle rifle pointing to his skull, with only his trusty gravity hammer in hand.
Spartan, I vanquished many like you who dare stand against me. However, I underestimated the one they call Demon. You are a remarkable warrior. You killed the prophets, went toe-to-toe with my most loyal followers, and now you step in my domain. I have analyzed every one of your battles against the Covenant, the Parasite, and the Forerunners. Most impressive, but you've gone soft. All you Spartans are soft, and there is one flaw in all Spartans.
Every ODST takes a large step forward, fingers twitching at the trigger. The weapon calls out, "Chief, detecting movement on your 6.
Confirming your kills.
Screaming soldiers pierce the ears of everyone in the room. The soldiers draw their weapons toward 2 ODSTs being lifted 5 feet in the air from what seems like nothing. Then, 2 deep crimson blades are revealed embedded in the victims' torsos. Only one member of the Banished is worthy of such blades. Jaeger Rodobnai, the surviving member of the Silent Shadow. The now corpses drop to the floor. Fire! The room filling with muzzle flashes. Jaeger and Atriox move in. Chief first goes for Rodobnai. He knows his strategy, so he can kill him properly this time. Atriox marching towards the ODSTs, slamming his hammer into the helpless soldiers, and launching surrounding victims across the room. As one is flying, he is sliced in half from a now fully revealed Jaeger. Chief fires at his wrist, blasting the sword from his hand. Rolling and catching it midair, the two are in a deadly sword battle. Chief knows he can't win this fight, as he has still not mastered the energy sword, especially against such an opponent. Now in a blade lock, Jaeger taunts him.
Say goodbye.
Chief! An ODST cries out, tossing a plasma pistol to his free arm. Charging the pistol, he takes out Jaeger's shield, disorientating him and giving Chief the opportunity to strike. Slicing off his blade arm, Jaeger grunts in pain. Defenseless, Chief goes in for the kill. Gravity hammer to the face. Chief is flown backwards. Discombobulated, he watches as his men are slaughtered by the hands of Atriox. Chief, get up! The weapon pleads. As he regains his footing, he grabs the nearest weapon and fires on Atriox. With limited range, Atriox takes the offensive and rushes Chief. Dodging blow after blow, Chief gets in close and slams Atriox's hammer to the ground. With 4 of Chief's soldiers left, they fire on Atriox's back, targeting his spine with little effect.
Enough!
He grabs Chief by the arm and throws him towards the soldiers, crushing 2 of them against the wall with the weight of the Mjolnir armor.
Your species will be the example for all others who even consider challenging me.
Atriox takes his hammer, ready to strike. A small vessel slams its way through the bridge, launching the remaining ODSTs into space. Atriox seemingly unfazed, with a firm grip, Chief quickly closes the emergency windows, leaving only the 2 of them. Or so they thought. I've got more movement, says the weapon, hearing a horrid whisper from the crashed vessel. They both turn to the commotion. Multiple flood forms come rushing out from the vessel, attacking the 2 of them. With corpses scattered about, infections were rapid. Suddenly, the 2 of them are surrounded.
We're not finished yet, Spartan.
It's a free-for-all. Chief versus Atriox versus the Flood, exchanging blows and fending off combat forms. And for a moment, it looks as if Chief and Atriox are on the same side, as if they're allies. Meanwhile, the capital ship's damage is critical at this point. Everywhere you look, the walls are exploding and pieces are crumbling on top of them, luckily dispatching most of the Flood for them. A large section of the ship falls on Atriox, catching it with his free hand, unable to move. Chief takes the advantage. He takes one of the crimson blades from before and moves to strike. Atriox attempts to block it with his hammer, but is caught between the crossguards and the hammer is sliced in 2. With a swift move, the blade pierces Atriox's shoulder. Atriox roars.
That doesn't belong to you.
Chief!
Another blade strikes from behind through Chief's armor like butter. Chief grunts in pain. Looking behind, it's Jaeger, with a slimy grin on his face. With the blade stuck in his chest, Jaeger walks to Atriox and assists him, lifting the boulder-sized debris off of him. Chief, essentially paralyzed, he attempts to grab his pistol from his hip, but is kicked to the floor by Atriox, embedding the crimson blade deeper into his sternum. Atriox, holding his shoulder, towers over Chief.
A worthy battle spot. I hope they remember you.
Atriox and Jaeger look one final time, and walk away, presumably leaving in an escape pod. Systems failing. I'm trying to contact the fleet. No response. Come on, Chief. Don't leave me. Chief's armor filling with blood. He calls out, Cortana. Back on Earth, Lord Hood receives word that the fleet above Zeta Halo was destroyed, and with it, their greatest weapon. A memorial is held for the soldiers who gave their lives in service of humanity's future, and a statue commemorating our greatest hero, Master Chief, Petty Officer, Sierra John 117, MIA. Oh man, that was a good one. I genuinely got goosebumps editing that. I wanted to make Atriox survive the fight because we still gotta have more Halo, right? The Banished need to live on so we can have a more dangerous enemy to fight, especially with such a badass leader like Atriox and his second-hand Jaeger Rodamni, who managed to kill the Master Chief. Surely now you'll want to kill the two of them in the next game, right? And with this story, the Flood is back, so it'll be an interesting dilemma for another Halo game. I really hope you enjoyed that story. Even though Chief dies in such a way that it's not exactly ceremonious, but I don't know, it all just fit. It all just came to me. It was very fun coming up with the different scenarios and the scenes that just seemed right to me. Well then, now that Chief is dead or retired, who will take his place? Well, there are many options available. The first being the character that Halo Studios tried to actually replace him with, Spartan Locke. Spartan 4, Jameson Locke, is a former agent of the Office of Naval Intelligence. He served as an assassin of sorts, eliminating key figures. In Halo 5, he was tasked with the collection of the rampant AI Cortana, with the help of Fireteam Osiris, consisting of, I forgot their names. Tanaka, Vale, and Buck. Locke encounters Master Chief on multiple occasions, the two having a absolutely awful brawl. Who wrote this fight scene? I hate everyone involved in this. The ending of Halo 5 implied that Chief and Locke were on good terms, and if it wasn't for the terrible writing, I could maybe see Locke as a replacement for Chief. Okay, hold on, hear me out. 343, I'm gonna say 343 because that's who they were at the time, wanted Halo 5, and by extension, Halo Infinite, to be a primarily Spartan story. So, if Spartan Locke were to replace Master Chief as the main character, we could see Locke going after rogue Spartans, high-value targets within the Covenant, stealth missions perhaps, as he is primarily an assassin. I'm playing devil's advocate here since I know how much Spartan Locke is hated, but hey, I'm looking at every avenue here. However, I don't think any of that will ever happen because presumably Locke was killed off and his helmet is on the shoulder of one of the Hand of Atriox's bosses in Halo Infinite. But that's just an assumption for now. We could potentially see Locke come back in Halo 7 as a scarred, badass rogue kind of character, just trying to survive on Zeta Halo. Now for the likely more popular choice, the one and only Arbiter. Thel 'Vadam, or Thel 'Vadamir, I still don't know how to say it, was Supreme Commander of the Covenant Fleet of Peculiar Justice. He led the assault on the human colony world, Reach, which you all know what happened to Reach. After following the UNSC Pillar of Autumn and stumbling upon what the Covenant to believe was a sacred Halo ring, created by their gods. When activated, it would begin the Great Journey and ascend them into godhood, or at least that's what they were led to believe. After the destruction of the Halo ring, Thel 'Vadam was renounced of his rank and declared a heretic, but the Prophet of Truth had other plans. Truth assigned him the role of the Arbiter, once a respected and honorable position in the Covenant, now simply a means to an end. The Arbiter was set to a mining colony to eliminate a heretic leader, only to discover an Oracle, 343 Guilty Spark, had been affiliated with such an enemy. After capturing the Oracle, he was sent to another recently discovered Halo ring, contested by the humans. Arbiter fights through the recently released Flood outbreak and finds the sacred icon is betrayed by the Brutes, Gravemind captures him, and Chief speaks to them about the true purpose of the Halos. Arbiter is reluctant to hear this truth, but is sent to the location of where Tartarus plans to activate the ring. Arbiter finally accepts the truth about the rings, kills Tartarus, and stops the ring from firing. Later, Arbiter teams up with Chief in the most badass duo in the history of fiction and saves the galaxy. Now leader of his own sub-faction, the Swords of St. Helios, essentially rebels on their home planet, St. Helios. I'm sorry that was so long. I know most of you know the Arbiter story by now, but I just wanted to put more gravity on the role of replacing Master Chief. Pretty much the alien equivalent to him. It's been said countless times that we, Halo fans, want an Arbiter spin-off game. Well, how about an Arbiter sequel? He takes the role as the main character in Halo. We could see how the war on St. Helios plays out in his perspective. Or jumping forward, if Chief does die, we gotta see Arbiter's reaction, right? Maybe he decides to assist the UNSC in stopping the Banished. I'm basically fantasizing about Arbiter spin-offs at this point, but you get the idea. The Arbiter would make a satisfying replacement for the Master Chief, if he does end up dying or retiring. Or, how about something that Halo Studios kinda tried to do with the Halo Infinite multiplayer? Your own Spartan. Kind of similar to the Spartan Op story in Halo 4, but better. Now, let's be honest, the multiplayer story was not good. It kind of picked up near the end of its stories, but was cut short. If it was given more time, I think a custom Spartan story would have been interesting. There's all kinds of stories they could tell. Of course, there was a story that they tried to tell about this banished AI, a battle on the UNSC Infinity before it went down, escorting Lasky and Halsey throughout the Zeta Halo. Was Halsey on the Infinity? I couldn't find much, but let's say she was. With good writers, there could be a decent story to be had here. But recently, nothing good has come from it, so maybe it's best they leave this alone. Now there's one more character who, I think, would genuinely be the perfect heir to the Master Chief. This character, in my opinion, already has earned the right to replace Chief. Not the Arbiter, though he definitely earns it too. Definitely not Locke. And not Noble Six, face it, he's dead. He's a Spartan, I guess you could say old Spartan, a badass Spartan 2, recently stationed on the Spirit of Fire, leader of Red Team, Spartan Jerome 092. Jerome is the leader of Spartan Red Team, consisting of himself, Douglas 042, and Alice 130. The three of them served under Captain Cutter and Sergeant Forge on the UNSC frigate Spirit of Fire, assisting in the battle for Harvest, Arcadia, Trove, and chronologically encountering the Flood for the first time in the series. After destroying a Forerunner world, the Spirit of Fire then entered cryosleep. 6 years later, still adrift in space, a Flood outbreak occurs on board the Spirit of Fire. Jerome had been awakened to deal with the threat, eventually exterminating it along with some of the infected crew, returning to cryosleep. Many more years later, the entire crew are awoken to stumble upon the Ark. Red Team are sent down to investigate to discover a lonely AI, Isabel, and a dangerous sub-faction, the Banished, have occupied most of the megastructure. Ambushed by the hulking leader Atriox, Red Team retreats. Several battles later, and Jerome and Isabel board Atriox's flagship, looking badass the entire time, and using the ship's own glassing beam, destroying banished forces on the surface. After construction of a new Halo, it is transported to an unknown part of the galaxy, leaving the Spirit of Fire to fight in attrition against what remains of the Banished on the Ark. From what we see in the legendary ending of Halo Wars 2, Anders, along with Red Team, is stopped mid-slip space by a Guardian. At this point in time, it is under the control by Cortana, who, wants to control the galaxy and stuff with AI or something. But that's all the story we get from that, as Halo Infinite basically retcons that ending, and Cortana sacrifices herself to destroy Zeta Halo, halting her control over the Guardians. So that leaves the question, where is Red Team? More importantly, where is Jerome? Jerome may not be the most well-known Halo character, like say the Arbiter, but having him replace the Chief as our new main protagonist will likely be widely accepted, I think. He's a badass Spartan too, like Chief. He has his own AI, Isabel. Well, Isabel's on the Spirit of Fire now, but he could get his own AI later. We don't get much chemistry between them, but if fleshed out, we could get a pretty good duo. Jerome is also the leader of Red Team, so if Halo Studios wants to make a co-op campaign like Halo 5, we already have the team to use as a co-op partners. Alice and Douglas would also make for engaging squad banter, since they've been through thick and thin together, And we've seen it firsthand with Halo Wars 1 and 2, and I'm sure Douglas would want a rematch with Aatrox for sure. All in all, I think Jerome 092 would make a perfect replacement for the Master Chief. So there you have it. 2 stories, The Quiet Life and The Blaze of Glory, as well as who I think will be suitable replacements if/when Chief does either. I hope both stories were satisfying for you. I really wanted to make satisfying conclusions on both ends, and I hope I did that. And let me know, do you think the characters I mentioned would make good replacements for Chief? Do you have someone in mind that I didn't mention? Or do you have your own retirement/death story to tell? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you want. Goodbye.